Hello YouTubers, this is Amir once again, and this time I am doing a video on the top 5 draft picks in Calgary/Atlanta Flames history. Now, this list was unlike other lists where with Anaheim, Boston, and Buffalo is pretty easy to come up with number 1. But this one was kind of hard because there's 3 guys you could really make an argument with this list. And so I thought, why not just give my honest opinion on this? This is probably one of the harder lists to do. But anyway, let's start off with the honorable mentions. And just so you know, for Calgary fans that are younger and might not know this, Jarome Iginla and Mika Kiprusoff were not drafted by the team. So if I do a list on top 5 players in team's history, or 10 players in team history, that would be more the video I'd do that on, or add those guys to it. But this is just draft picks. But be sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe down below. Let's take a look. Some honorable mentions. Paul Reinhart's one. A great player, great goal scorer. I think a lot of people forget how big of goal scorer he was in his day, and the fact that you're starting to see his 3 sons, Max Reinhart, Sam Reinhart, and Griffin Reinhart, are all going to be, we're all drafted in the first round. So, of the NHL draft. Other guys like Hakan Lube, who is a very good goal scorer for him. Gary Roberts, Robert Reichel, Dion Phaneuf, who would have been if he wouldn't have been traded by some dumb dick Sutter, and Corey Stillman. Now this list, as I said, was pretty hard to come up with. It pretty much almost focuses on era because there's really only one really good golden era in Calgary Flames, and then after that it's really hard to justify putting some of these other guys on here because either they didn't spend enough time in Calgary or their time in Calgary wasn't very productive enough to put them ahead of these guys. That's why it's heavily focused in that 1980 to about 1990 range. There's about 78 till 90, somewhere in there. But anyhow, let's get on with it. I've rambled on long enough. Number 5, Kent Nilsson. Drafted 64th overall, holds a single season record for points with 131, had 500 plus points in 6 seasons in Calgary, and a 2-time All-Star. Now, for some of you younger fans that might not have witnessed, or like myself that never did witness but went back and watched some old Calgary Flames games, because I seen this and I'm like, what? I've never heard of Kent Nilsson, and was he really that good? He was really that good. And to people who say, oh, he just whatever, he was a draft pick of the Atlanta Flames, the only one on this list, and he holds the single season record, as I said, 131 points, but he did that over number of years, goes to Edmonton, plays 17 games in Edmonton in 86, 87, wins the cup, or how do I say this? Yeah, goes to Edmonton, then goes over to Sweden, and in like 35 game seasons over there, he's like scoring ridiculous points. I'd probably say the best player playing outside the National Hockey League at that time. Goes over to a league in Italy one year, has 135 points in like 30-something games. It's like, what? As I read that, and I'm like, wow, that guy's pretty good. Number 4 on my list is pretty much, I'd say, their greatest goalie they've ever had. Like, people say Mika Kiprusoff. Mike Vernon, to me, is a better goalie because he won when it mattered in the playoffs. 5-time All-Star with the team, second in team wins, only behind Mika Kiprusoff. Record for playoff wins, which is a very big thing because you got to win in the playoffs. Had 2 cup runs with the teams. 1986, where it was really his first real year grabbing the ball and running with it. They made the finals, losing to old Montreal team, resurging Montreal Canadiens team and Patrick Waugh. So that one, and then 3 years later, in 1989, they meet again in the finals, and Calgary wins. The famous shot of Lanny McDonald and that stash winning the cup. But yeah, and they thought so highly of him to retire his number. Like, think about that. If an organization thinks so highly of you, they'll retire your number. You did something there, and it's a shame in 1994 or so when he was traded to the Wings, so they could make room for Trevor Kidd, who was a goalie that had a lot of potential, just never lived up to it. And I think a lot of people, if you throw in Marty Brodeur in there, would he have turned out? But anyway, on to number 3. The 166th overall pick in 1987, Theoren Fleury, 6-time All-Star, second in points with 830, 364 of them goals, third, I believe, in playoff points. I'm not sure about that one. One second. Yeah, third in playoff points. And was during that time of the 1990s where he was really one of their best players. Their superstar, their scorer, lighting up the league up until the trade in 1999 where he went to the Avalanche and then played with the Rangers. But I don't think he ever had the form there that he had in Calgary and then playing with the Blackhawks and then getting suspended. But Theoren Fleury was a very good hockey player, number 3 on this list. Number 2 on this list, Al MacInnis. The hardest slap shot in the league at the time, used a wooden stick. Imagine if Al MacInnis was shooting at you with a composite stick. Everyone likes to talk about old Zdeno Chara slap shot. Al MacInnis, you would freaking get out of the way of that thing. He could really shoot that puck. 15th overall in 1981. And 2007 Hockey Hall of Fame induction, 6-time All-Star, third in games played for the franchise leader in assists, number 2 in assists in the season, number 2 in playoff games, number 1 in playoff points and assists. He is one of the best Calgary Flames. Other things, he's 6th in playoff goals. As I said, number 1 in assists with 77. Just a really, really good player for him through the years. Very consistent. Traded him in the 90s there, I believe 94 or something. Around the same time they traded Vernon, and they got Housley back, but that was a really bad trade. And I know Calgary said, well, we can't keep him. Number 1 on this list for me, without a doubt, the 27th overall in 1985, the Calder Trophy winner, the Stanley Cup champion in 1989, 4th in team points through his career, 314 goals, 60 playoff points, 32 playoff goals, most goals in a game with 5, is Joe Nieuwendyk. And some might ask why I put Joe Nieuwendyk number 1 on this list. Not only did he have success here, he gets traded to the Dallas Stars for Jarome Iginla. He has success in Dallas. He wins a cup there. He goes over to the New Jersey Devils, and in 2003 he wins a cup there. Joe Nieuwendyk was a very darn good player. And I think the longevity of his career, I'm not sure if he was inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'd have to check that. But he's one of those really good players. Joe Nieuwendyk. It's just a shame that his career with Calgary ended all over a $3-point-some million contract. And it was a contract dispute that held it out till December, till finally they had to do something about it, and they traded him to Dallas. Now you could say in the long run it worked out well for Calgary, but Jarome Iginla through those first 7 years in Calgary, those were some really tough years and all that. But yeah, that's my list here. I'd like to hear your guys' list and your guys' opinions on this. Who are your top 5 draft picks in Atlanta/Calgary Flames history? Be sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe. Here once again, I'm done. Peace.